You're listening to the Sports Connect podcast with Charles Bass and Cisco Soto. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. Be sure to visit the website at www.sports-connect.net and become a member and get connected.
Welcome to a special edition podcast of Sports Connect. I'm Charles Bass. I'm here with Cisco Soto.
Yep, my special guest this evening is Christian De La Cruz. You want to say hello to the people out there?
As always, shout out to the internet. What's going on?
Right, and as we promised, we were a little delayed on doing the show this week, but this week we're hitting you guys with the top 10 matches of Wrestlemania as chosen by us, 3. So
Our opinions.
Our opinions. Yeah, it's gonna have a nice discussion here. Hopefully some arguing will make the show a little bit better this week.
Controversy
some
sales.
violence, some slapping, controversy sales. So before we get into it though, Charles, we just hit last week with the NCAA tournament updates.
I really don't want to do this part, man.
Yeah, bracket. I think I just pooped on my bracket earlier.
Gonzaga lost. Mexico lost.
Man,
Georgetown lost.
I had Gonzaga and Georgetown going to the Final Four. So
Yeah.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay. But you was right about Gonzaga. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So we're kind of going to go around. We got a small circle here that we're going to do, and go one by one. Start with number 10. Break down. We'll do okay. You want to do honorable mentions first? Is that going to make it
excited?
I didn't know we were doing that part.
That's okay. If you didn't have any honorable mentions,
I got some.
You got some.
Yeah.
All right. That's fine. That's fine.
I'm 6.
How many honorable mentions did you
got 3. Quick 3.
Quick 3. Okay. So I'll go from here on up. Charles, you got 3 honorable mentions.
I do got 3 honorable mentions.
All right.
Number 3 from the honorable mentions. Bret Hart versus Yokozuna, WrestleMania 10. I thought that was a nice way to end it after Bret lost to Owen at the beginning of the show.
Open the show
I thought that was nice.
Okay.
Number 2, Hulk Hogan versus Vince McMahon, just because of the whole backstory.
The whole backstory was yeah.
That for me that
wasn't the best match, but the whole combination to that to that whole storyline was great. Yeah.
And then the last one for me was Jericho, my man Jericho versus Triple H, right after the Rock versus Hogan.
Yeah, obviously that match doesn't get the kind of play that it got.
Yeah, it was kind of like when Vince Carter did that dunk, and then Ricky David did the release afterwards. No one remembered that.
Nothing else mattered after that point. You're right. Yeah, that's cool. All right, so I'll go for my 1, 2, and 3 here from the list. From all my honorable mentions before we get into number 10. And I'll pass it over to you then. Number 3, I guess, would be my honorable mentions. WrestleMania 28 was Triple H and The Undertaker from the year before.
Okay.
Yeah. Before that, I did put Rock and Hogan in the honorable mentions. So I know obviously we're gonna have some rumblings about that.
Yeah, we is.
Yeah, that's fine. That's why it's my list. That's why it's my list. That's right. You don't tell me how to make my list. And the first honorable mention that did make my list, but was WrestleMania 12, the Iron Man match between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart.
Oh man, we're gonna have some problems.
Yeah, I know. That's hey. So without further ado, here's the guest of the evening.
That's it. Well, my quick 3 honorables. Charles already took one of them, and I agree with him wholeheartedly. That Vince McMahon Hulk Hogan match was amazing. The storyline, the background to it, and it was a surprisingly good match. The angle when McMahon came out the ring, like Psycho. That right there,
one of the best images,
angles ever. So that right there, image. The McMahon, and you're probably gonna get mad at me at this one, not McMahon. I'm sorry, Austin Rock, WrestleMania 17. Now it's huge because he turned bad, and we know that's huge. But they try to pull it like it was a Hogan bad guy thing, but it didn't go through good. It
didn't pan out, but at the time.
So that's why I made it as an honorable mention for me. You know what I'm saying?
So. Well, since you got it right now, why don't you kick us off with number 10 then from your list?
He took one of my honorable mentions.
I'm just saying. Go start the list.
You killed me off on one. Number 10 for me was HBK Y2J, WrestleMania 19. Great pay-per-view. I loved WrestleMania 19. I loved that pay-per-view. The storyline was amazing. The storyline, I don't know about
the way
this.
They built it,
the way it was that Jericho would say, "Listen, man, I grew up.
He idolized Shawn Michaels.
And I'm like, you know what, man? I'm trying to replace you, man. You know what I mean? And that's it. And the match was even better. The background. Shawn Michaels did a better show. Excuse me. Dwight did a better Sweet Chin music. You know what I mean?
I can't agree with
it. Was
that.
It was better than that match.
Is it me or I feel like Jericho is like the Dominique Wilkins of wrestling? Like he just underrated. He's like borderline Hall of Famer, but he's just underrated. Just totally underrated as a performer.
I think he is.
I mean, he's been world champion enough.
But it was a great match. The ending was even better. Heel Y2J at his best. So that was number 10 for me.
My number 10 was exactly the same.
Really? I'm kidding. All
exactly the same. Chris Jericho versus HBK.
All right. Shout out to you.
WrestleMania 19. For all those same reasons. I mean, for all the great match. I mean, that was one of the better WrestleManias. The whole card was stacked, but I mean, they really stole the show. I mean, it was I don't even remember, third or fourth match on. Out of how many matches that were on there? I mean, yeah, Booker T, Triple. I mean, there was a lot of great
matches. Matt Hardy, Rey Mysterio.
Matt Hardy, Rey Mysterio opened the show. You know, so yeah, I mean, same for everything you just said, man. Yeah.
I like it. He kicked him in the balls after they hugged. And then Jericho technically won that one.
And then he just saw the end.
That's right.
For me, mine's a little bit different, you guys. Mine was Austin versus Shawn Michaels at 14. With Mike Tyson as a special guest referee.
Yeah, passing of the torch right there, man.
That whole build up to WrestleMania with Mike joining DX and they was running around and they was doing the crotch thing and all that good stuff, and the way they built it up towards WrestleMania with Austin involved in that whole build up with Austin and Tyson when Tyson was trying to give him dap.
Yeah.
And then Jim Ross just played it perfectly.
Yeah.
He just played it perfectly. I thought that was good. I like that match a lot.
No, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Well, we're getting off so far. I guess we're not arguing too much yet, but I guess we're gonna get there.
It's gonna get.
I'm gonna get into number 9.
All right, here we go. Hopefully, I didn't want to be the first one to do this, but I hate to do this. Can I do a tie? I have a tie. I couldn't do it. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it.
Oh, all right. It's your list.
I couldn't help it.
It's your list.
Sorry, and I have my reasons. Why. I have my reasons why.
I hope not Dory the Clown, man.
Oh, nah. This is it. DiBiase Savage WrestleMania 4 Finals, okay? And Hogan Savage WrestleMania 5. The reason being is because those two matches to me, it's like how
made Savage.
Not only made Savage, but first of all, that match was great. I think based on what you said about the Dominique Wilkins or I think DiBiase. No, to me, I think DiBiase is that.
Yeah. See, DiBiase could be that more than Jericho because he never got over that hump.
He never won the world championship, did
he? He bought it. He bought it.
And that's what made that match so good because look, he bought the belt, created a tournament. Then there ended up being a tournament about the thing. The finals match was amazing. Then eventually Hogan comes in. Technically, because of Hogan, Macho Man won.
Right.
You see Macho's face when Elizabeth is celebrating with it, and then that caused that match in WrestleMania 5. To me, and here's why I look at that. To me, I kind of look at it where they look at it kind of how Roxana is at now. Because Roxana for WrestleMania 20, 7 or 6 or whatever? Yeah, 7. Built for WrestleMania 28. So that's why I kind of went with 9 and 10, and forgive me for that, but that was great matches, great storylines, and great build-ups. You know what I'm saying?
I have to agree with you on that one.
That's me.
All right, I got Savage on this list too. It was Savage and Steamboat from WrestleMania 3.
That's number 9.
That's number 9. Yeah.
Oh my God! The furniture's being thrown around over here, man. Wow.
Number 9 on the list. The only reason there. The match I'm gonna have before you guys are probably, as I got as number 8, you're probably really gonna throw garbage at me on this one. But again, I have my reasons for it.
You gotta hear this.
The same thing for Savage and 9 and 3. The wasn't a world title match, but I think in the WWF this was Savage's coming out party. I mean, Steamboat. We just talked about how DiBiase kind of never got over that hump, especially in the WWF. I mean, Steamboat, was a multi-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion before going into the WWF, and just how they did with him, Dusty Rhodes, some of those other guys, never really played that up to them. They never really got back to that level. But did still showcase that he belonged there and put on one of the best matches, really of all time. Speaking of technical wise, but that's again.
Why was it so low? That's the question. That's the question. Why is it so low?
When we get to everything else that I have on my list, I'll explain why. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to get through the rest of the list, and then we'll go back. And
we'll tell you why ours is so high.
Well, and again, that's why it's your list. You know?
Blasphemy.
So, Charles, number 9?
Number 9 for me was Rock and Austin, 17.
From WrestleMania 17? Okay.
If I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but I remember Rock was turned into the bad guy, right? It was
the other way around.
It was the other way around. It was
Austin turned bad, but leading up to it, like, they were both faces, but I guess since Stone Cold was always Stone Cold, Rock was always
the
Rock.
Right.
It just kind of, maybe you could still look at it as Rock was the heel champion.
Yeah, see, I tried to look at the Rock as the heel champion because
because you was more Stone Cold than Rock, like I was
at the time. But you know, Rock is my dude. I just and I always loved him as a bad guy because he talked the best crap next to Flair.
Yeah. True.
So that was my thing, and I just love how them two interact. If I remember correctly, they did like 2 or 3 WrestleManias, right?
They did.
Yeah.
19, 15, 19, and 17.
Yeah, so I enjoyed
all 3 matches were great.
I really did.
Yeah.
Another thing to let them know, talking about the hype video, man. To these people who watch it,
the hype video for that match was seriously one of the best video productions just to sell a match. Like,
hype video was insane, man.
Yeah. All right. So pretty much what he was saying about when he made mention of his honorable mention. So we'll move on to number 8.
Mm-hmm. The ending to that match is the reason why that thing was so great because no one expected it. Did you all expect? Nobody expected this guy to turn him in like that. Mm-hmm. All right, number 8 to me, Mr. T and Hogan versus Piper and Orndorff WrestleMania.
That was old school.
I mean, it's WrestleMania 1. I mean, this is the stuff that I wrote about it. You know what I mean? It's not the best match at all. By all means, it wasn't. But I'm like,
that's why it's not on my list.
Back in the 80s, okay, the wrestling was just all old school hiding things and stuff like that, territorial and stuff like that. When this thing came out, they had Mr. T, Muhammad Ali, Billy Barachi, all the people. When that came out, that was on MTV.
It was the game changer.
That's the thing that said, this came from this to something huge, so you gotta make mention of that. So the importance of that to me is why I put that in there. Now, it wasn't a good match, just importance. It was that. So that's 8 for me.
That's 8 for you. So 8 on my list.
Here we go.
So here's, I guess, where the trash starts to get thrown at. WrestleMania 2000 TLC.
You know what? No, I give you that. But once again, I feel like that's really low.
The only reason why, now, when you talk about the significance of what your match led to, these guys ushered in these guys were the next generation. Yeah. Like they were. I mean, for everything that started at WrestleMania 1, you got the Dudleys, you got the Hardys, you got Edge and Christian. You got Edge came on to be 11-time world champion. Christian's been world champion. Jeff Hardy.
Bubba Ray's now champion.
Bully Ray.
Hey, that's okay. But you know what? That's why him and I are so late because that's number 7 for me.
Okay.
So that's number 7.
That's what I said. That to me was.
I agree. It was the first one.
It was the first
of its kind.
It was the first of its kind. They tore the house down that night. I mean, that WrestleMania 2000 didn't really have that many memorable moments to begin with. It was really a lot of Stone Cold was out due to injury. Mm-hmm. The main event was the 4-way. You had a McMahon in every corner. Triple H walked out with the title, but there wasn't really that much going on at WrestleMania. But
one cool thing about that match is that they didn't steal the hardcore garbage ECW stuff. It was a mixture.
No, it was real wrestling. It was real,
a little bit of
the excitement and
a little bit.
Else.
So that was cool for me.
Yeah. For me, number 8, it was Bret Hart, Owen Hart, WrestleMania 10. And just the pureness of brother versus brother. And
I was gonna say that's too low because that's a lot higher on my list.
I mean, it wasn't the best storyline going into that match.
It wasn't, but see, at that time, a lot of the storylines, especially at that time, they were still kind of cartoonish. So a lot of the build up and stuff like that, which you can agree. You could still kind of agree. But you still had at that time maybe a handful of people that actually went out and put on quality matches.
And them two did.
Right.
And them two did. And that's why that's on my list, because they put out a quality match from beginning to end.
Right.
And Owen still in it the way he did. I thought that was beautiful.
Right, because, again, like you just talked about not expecting things to come, you wouldn't really thought Owen Hart would go over Bret Hart at a WrestleMania. So,
That was my first WrestleMania party. I remember I hosted that. I was 9. I think I remember I was 9.
That was my first one I bought on pay-per-view.
That was first party for me that I bought too.
First one I ever bought was 14. So I was a little late to the game. To the WrestleMania pay-per-views, Good. Is it? Good pick. So
well, you can skip me because I already said 7. I said my reasons.
You said your 7.
I said 7. I love it.
7 was the same as my 8. Was
the
TLC
you know what I mean? It had all that stuff in there, so you can skip me. That was 7.
7. I got Ric Flair, HBK from WrestleMania 24.
Okay.
Flair's retirement match. For all the same reasons we just talked about, how the story. Flair at this point probably should have stopped wrestling maybe like 3 or 4 years.
Actually, about 10 years ago. Prior to this. When WCW ended.
When WCW ended, he probably should have hung it up.
Not even that, he should have stopped.
He dug out, which was probably, I'm not going to say his best match ever, but at that point in time, them two together put on arguably the best match of the show.
I got to interrupt. Why is that better than Steamboat Savage?
Because it was.
What do you mean?
Because it was.
Yo. How? Besides saying it was, how?
I tell you what, one thing that Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat match didn't have would have made that match better, and that was Shawn Michaels.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This guy. You kidding me?
That's he
George,
said.
You're not with me on that one. You're not with me. He's by himself.
He's solo, man.
True story.
All right, my number 7 was Bret Hart, Steve Austin, WrestleMania 13.
Woof. Too low.
Too low.
Too low?
Too low.
I think it's just right considering everyone else on my list.
My opinion.
But great storyline. It was definitely Steve Austin coming out party, even though he was the convert from the Ringmaster to Stone Cold.
Right.
So, I thought that Bret put him over perfectly, even though Bret won the match. I thought it was a great performance by Steve Austin and him coming out. And that was my first WrestleMania I ever went to. It was Chicago and Allstate Arena.
Oh, this guy.
No. I was in the nosebleed.
Set up on the roof.
I set up on the roof, but
I to one. Okay?
Yeah, I got one under my belt, just one. But that so I always got a special place in my heart for one of the worst WrestleManias of all time. WrestleMania 13.
13? You didn't know?
Yeah, again.
I never even saw that one. I never even seen
Exactly. That's all you need to know.
What happened with Psycho Sid?
Yeah, Undertaker.
Did you know that Psycho Sid shit his pants? And
I heard
Undertaker was pissed when he was going to tombstone. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if anybody's ever actually asked Sid that or had the nerve to.
Look it up. Just saying.
Well, get on to number 6 here. I don't want to talk about that.
Shitty pants. All right. By the way, I'll see you guys at WrestleMania 29. I just want to throw that out there. I just want to say that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Charles. He went to 13. I'm just saying. I'm going to 29. Yeah, I could have came with me, but
Hey,
it's all good. We're going to go to New Orleans, right? We're going to go to New Orleans next year? We'll see. We'll see.
It's too dangerous.
All right. The lights might go.
Yeah, the lights might go.
All right. Number 6 for me was WrestleMania 26, Undertaker versus HBK.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, that's the one where he retired at.
That's the one he retired on.
Mm-hmm. My thing that I loved, the entrance when he came in all white.
Yeah,
I love that joint, but it was a great match. Like, Shawn Michaels did not die. Yo, man.
No, he didn't. He wouldn't give up.
Oh, my God. Like, yo, man, he got like 3 tombstones in that match. It was just a great match, great story, great way to end.
Them two, look, the first time was really when you really saw Undertaker kind of get pushed to the leg. We actually thought for a second that somebody was actually going to beat him.
Yeah, like you really thought Shawn Michaels
had him.
I'm like, yo, that was a great match. So, number 6 for me on that one. Boom.
Mm-hmm. Make my 6 pretty quick here because we've already talked about it 4 times. It was Rock and Stone Cold from WrestleMania 17. So I don't really think nothing else needs to be said about that. I mean, we ran through that one. So so Charles,
my number 6 may be low, but I think it's number 6 because, to be honest, the quality of the match wasn't there, but the hype was totally there. Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, WrestleMania 6. Let's be honest. The match itself,
it was pretty good.
It was the first time in the history of the World Wrestling Federation where 2 good guys faced each other
for the title.
It was a good match.
It was a good match.
I liked it.
It was all right.
Surprisingly. Yeah. Because Hogan can't. Yeah, again, you know how I feel. Don't do it. You say don't do it.
No, they can't do it. No, they don't.
Well, don't do it. Still don't do it. I think I know where you're going.
I don't think Hogan can.
Yeah.
Ultimate Warrior wasn't that strong of a worker at the time.
Yeah. I don't think he ever was, actually.
No, but they pulled out a much better match than what anybody would have thought they would have. So.
Yeah, that was my pick for number 6.
All right, so
this is what makes it interesting about this thing because we got
5. So now we into the top 5.
Yeah.
So here, I guess, where the more rumbling.
And let's put a little bit more reasoning behind it why I said it. But here's what's cool about our list because they're all similar. Number 5 for me was Hogan Warrior 6. Okay. So here's the coolest thing to me about Warrior 6, and Hogan Warrior that sold it. The Rumble of that year when they were just them two and they eliminated everybody and the crowd went crazy because I was like, wait a minute, I forgot these two dudes could fight, and that was crazy right there. And that match was crazy.
I think what he said too about every time it was always a big mean evil guy and Hulk Hogan had to take him down. So
and that was the first passing of the torch match at WrestleMania as well too, even though that's the failed one because Warrior ain't do nothing.
That was the ultimate.
And also to me, like I'm also a big fan of the photography that they have in wrestling, and they have one of the greatest photographies because to me, here's what I wrote about it: literally, 2 superheroes. It was like Batman versus Superman squaring off. To me, when I saw that when I was young, I was like, yo,
you read way too much into that.
Hey, you can define that's fine for you, but to me, I thought Hulk Hogan was the shit to me when I was little, so that was cool as shit to me. And the image of them when they had him with the belt and they had them two looking at each other, I thought that was mad cool. You know what I'm saying? And also the cover art to the VHS tape. I don't know if you see it. The thing, the bolts.
They were just like,
so that's number 5 for me.
Good times. All right, so my number 5 pick. Kind of one up you a little bit, I think, here. I chose Undertaker HBK from WrestleMania 25 from the year before.
Wow.
I thought that match was hands down probably the best match that Undertaker has ever had.
Okay.
Period.
Better than the one with Brock Lesnar in the Hell in the Cell?
For different reasons. That match that he had, when Undertaker, when he dove over the ropes and he fell on top of the cameraman, we thought he was out. I mean, that match lasted for about a good 40 minutes. Had much of the same drama that the one the year after was. Obviously, the stakes were different. HBK's career wasn't on the line, but they tore the house down. It was one finisher, one big spot after another. These guys were going back and forth. So that to me, I honestly thought that was Undertaker's best match, like ever.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's a good one. I still don't know how that's better than Savage Steamboat, but
hey, my list.
Oh my god! People, let him know in the comment section. What is he thinking?
All right, so my number 5 is
but my list ain't done yet. So when I get there, I'm saying when I get higher, then
it makes sense.
Yeah, it'll make more sense.
All right. Okay, my number 5 is that TLC match with Christian. Is Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys.
From 2000?
Yeah, 2000.
Because they fought didn't they fight like 3 times or something? 2 times?
They fought at SummerSlam that year, right? That was the rematch.
No, they did one at WrestleMania too. Another one. Because 17. Rhino came out.
At 17.
Yeah, Rhino came out. My bad. But
right.
No, I was just saying the stuff they was doing at that time was just ridiculous. I actually thought someone was going to die that night. So, piggyback off you guys saying, plus that, that was my number 5.
Now, it's interesting that none of us has mentioned WrestleMania 10 ladder match between these two guys because while that one was cool.
Oh no! You'll see down the line.
I put that in because I think the 2000s. I don't want to let. I think this one. I think to me that was better.
No spoilers.
I can't say.
We'll get to that. My bad. I jumped the gun. Sorry, y'all. Sorry.
Yeah, I can't say that, man. So.
Yeah, number 4 now.
Yeah, number 4 now.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's for me when it starts to get interesting and fun for me because I'm a big fan of just traditional wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Is Benoit and Angle from WrestleMania 17. Man.
No, it was just an all-around great wrestling match.
That was just a great wrestling match. The spots with all the Germans. There was a part when they were trying to get him the ankle lock, and he went from the crossface. You know what I mean? And it was just a great match. So if nobody's seen that, y'all better check that out. You know what I mean? Also, shout out to the ring aprons at WrestleMania 17. It reminded me of the old school, the blue and the yellow. I love that shit because I had the old ring when I was little. You know what I'm saying? Come on. Y'all gotta look at the details. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gotta look at the details. You know what I'm saying?
Again, you read way too too much into that. But
you don't appreciate it. You know what? I don't appreciate it. This may be my last show here, folks. No appreciation.
No, I got a feeling you'll be back. I got a feeling you'll be back.
I can't put up with this crap. Yeah, what I will say though is the only rebuttal to that was their match at Royal Rumble 2003 was better than that.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
I had Bret Owen from WrestleMania 4.
For WrestleMania 4?
Or WrestleMania 10, I'm sorry. As my number 4.
I can go with that.
I had Bret, and for the same reasons that we talked about when you had it on your list was I really thought, we talked about Ted DiBiase and Steamboat. Owen was another one of those wrestlers that had more talent than
the Rocket.
The Rocket Owen Hart, and more talent than probably a third of the people on the card, but just never got over that hump. But yeah, great way to open the show. Didn't really think Owen was going to go over his brother like that, seeing as Bret was the man at the time. But yeah, so
what about his theme song? Was that great?
Well, yeah,
the keyboard.
Hey, I've been trying to tell Cisco we need to make that our intro.
He did from day one.
I did. I was like, yo,
we gotta get that on her music. You talk about his when he was there, then when he went crazy later on.
No.
That was cool too.
See, I like that with the horns in there. It's like I like that one better.
That's funny that you guys talked about.
Yeah, we did.
We really did.
So, your number 4?
My number 4, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, WrestleMania 12 Iron Man match. That was just a great match. Great match from beginning to end. Now, some controversy, and it was a Survivor Series type controversy, but it was some.
That was all fake anyway, so don't worry about that. Okay. That was scripted.
Well, the WrestleMania one was scripted. I don't know about the Survivor Series.
The Survivor Series, the supposed screw job.
No, I thought that part was real.
Man, that was a work, man. If anybody still believes that like
okay, let's put it like this: it was a work, and everybody knew about it except Bret.
No, because you know what? Bret got paid after that. That's why I don't care what anybody says.
You think that Bret had nothing? You think Bret was in on it too?
Yeah.
This guy.
Yeah, you solo on this one, man.
Hey, look. I know we strayed away off topic, but I don't care.
There's a movie made out of it.
So, Henderson was his kids.
They showed the part where he sucker punched Vince in the face.
Hey, they're actors. They're paid to lie. What are you talking about?
I think they're athletes, personally.
Bret Hart is a very bitter man. You know what I mean?
He's still bitter to this day, even though he gave truth.
Look at the way he looks.
He had a stroke. Come on, how do you look after a stroke?
It's the stress that caused the stroke that caused that shit.
Yeah, you're talking about 12 years worth of stress.
The stress from Montreal caused
Yeah.
Wow.
If you got to go to WCW after that, you'd be stressed too.
You digress.
That's what I'm saying. He got broke off from going to WCW.
And that screwed his whole career. He got kicked in the throat by Goldberg. His career hasn't been the same since. You know what I'm saying? That's why I hate Goldberg. That's why I hate Goldberg.
He was United States champion after that.
That's why I hate Goldberg.
Yeah, to go down to that level. Really?
All right.
That was my number 4.
That's fine. All right, so go on to number 3.
All right, go on number 3. We going for real. This is my pick. This should have been your pick, Frank. It's Savage Steamboat. Okay. What do I have to say about this? I'm reading this. This deserves me to read what I have to say.
Go for
this,
it.
You know
go
what I'm
for it. It's your time.
This match to me is like an NWA WCW wrestling style match. All right. In a wrestling territory, to me, that's mostly about entertainment. You know what I'm saying? So like they brought that really traditional wrestling and a thing where WWF is really about entertainment. So that to me was huge about that. You know what I mean? Also the storyline was cool. A lot of people forget about that. Macho Man destroyed his larynx. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you remember that. You know, he came back from that. So that was it. You know, great match. That's number 3 for me. WrestleMania 3.
I had it on my list. It was a lot lower.
What you had at 9 or something? That's terrible.
Yeah, it's a number 9.
That's horrible.
Number 3. You ready?
Yeah.
Oh God, here we go.
Kurt Angle versus HBK from WrestleMania 21.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. We're not gonna be mad at you.
Okay.
All right. I mean, we still think Steamboat should have been. But
no,
at least
see. Hey, so that's my list. But I remember the build up to this match. Like it was seriously one of my favorites, like just ever.
Okay.
we got the great match from Marty Jannetty and Kurt Angle out of this match. Do you remember that? They wrestled for about a half an hour on SmackDown. And
shout out to Marty Jannetty.
Yeah, shout out to Marty Jannetty.
It was brilliant. They pulled Sensational Sherry out, even though Kurt broke her ankle.
I forgot. Okay,
because remember he proved that he could do. He said I could do everything that Shawn Michaels could do, but better.
Did Sherry have the pants with the ass cheeks out?
No, she didn't. She was a little, kind of well past beyond that. Rest in peace, Sherry. By the way, you talk about her butt like that on the show.
Sherry could get it back.
Well, we got to put a disclaimer out towards the end of this, man. Just to let you know.
Yeah, because see, me and Charles was trying to not use profanity.
We can. We'll talk about it later. No worries.
It's okay, no worries.
It's a sponsorship.
Yeah, it's a sponsorship issue, but it's okay. Try to get these bills paid. So.
This will be my last show.
Yeah, maybe you'll clean up that flun flarn filth. But no, this match, I remember we were over at Clint's house, our friend Clint, and I remember everybody in the room was going for Kurt Angle. I was the only person there that thought HBK was actually going to win.
Here you go, front like you.
And no, I remember HBK. No, remember HBK lost. He lost the match.
I'll be honest, I don't even remember. I need to check.
Yeah, remember Kurt Angle made him tap out. He put him in the ankle lock, and I remember that you had me in the ankle lock when Shawn Michaels tapped out because I was laid out on the floor in disbelief. I remember that. So that was just one. Yeah, I mean, I watched that match repeatedly. It's just one of my personal favorites. So.
My number 3 is the same. Randy Savage Steamboat. There's nothing even to explain.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, we talked about that. Enough too. So, I'm gonna say my number 2 before I get back to you. Because you had it on your list was Bret Hart and Stone Cold for WrestleMania 13.
That's mine too.
Okay. Wow. So
that's crazy.
That's a great 2 in a row. And the only reason why, again, we talked about this when we were talking about making a list about the importance of what some of these matches meant. This is what made Stone Cold Steve Austin. Mm-hmm. I mean, from that iconic image of him bleeding, not giving up, and the sharpshooter, Bret had him there. Just showed that he could go at that point and really be a contender. And then obviously from on there, pretty much everybody that would know anything about wrestling knows Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's why that was my number 2. So.
But the thing is, to me, I like the artistic stuff again. That image of him bleeding.
Right, I know, and that's why I said that image of him.
Crazy.
I mean, he had his hand out and he was set right, and
then that kicked off the Attitude Era, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No.
Actually, the Montreal after that was what, because that's when that pay-per-view. I have it on VHS, and actually we could do a retrospective on that pay-per-view.
I hope we do.
We could do a retrospective on that pay-per-view and go match by match. But that was the first pay-per-view that they ran the vignettes for the Attitude Era. Yeah. And they had everybody talking about.
They were doing bits and pieces at WrestleMania 13.
Yeah, WrestleMania 13, they did bits and pieces of it, but it was seriously right after that, the next day. Yeah, that's when I remember that started, because that created the character Vince McMahon of Mr.
Right,
McMahon.
because he said he screwed whatever.
Right.
But then also when they switched around, because Austin was the heel and Hart was the face, wasn't he?
Right.
Yeah,
but
then
they
switched.
Right. But see, that was the first time you saw that.
Yeah,
we talked about the hero versus hero match at WrestleMania 6. Cool. But the crowd never once did they turn, and it reminded me of Rock and Hogan.
The crowd was getting tired of Hart.
Right, and it reminded me of Rock and Hogan when you're talking about. That was the first time that really happened, where you started the match out where one guy was more popular than the other, and by that time the whole crowd just completely, just turned it around.
So Charles, how were you guys all cheering for him when you guys were there? How was the invite? Do you remember how it was?
Yeah, I do remember. People was cheering for him, but it was more cheers for Bret, because Chicago was a Bret crowd at the time. But you just saw what that whole Austin. You saw what was coming, and it was some people. It was a good crowd, good mix of people that was there for Austin. That just liked that 316, that whole deal that was coming out. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
What's your
all right, so since we both had the same number 2, what was your number 2?
My number 2 was that ladder match from WrestleMania 10, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon.
Wow,
that was my number 2. I got a special place. It's a special place in my heart for WrestleMania 10 for a number of reasons. I thought it was a great pay-per-view. I thought from what they was coming off of with Hogan leaving, that whole scandal with the steroid deal, how they kind of
swept that under the rug and started fresh. Yeah,
for WrestleMania.
It was almost a completely different product if you look at WrestleMania 9 and WrestleMania 10.
True.
And I thought that even though you had the Yokozuna Brett at the end, and then Lex Luger with that whole flipping of the coin. I thought this match stole the show. I thought the way Razor came down and he went around the ladder, doing his deal, and then Shawn came and he went under the ladder, and he had this homeboy Diesel in the background. And if you was into that 1-800 number, with Mean Gene and all that good stuff, you knew that they was part of the hotline. If you was part of that whole hotline, you knew that they was all a part of the clique. Yeah. And they just worked that match beautifully, and I just enjoyed it. Enjoyed it from beginning to end. Right. So that's my number 2.
All right. So now we're down to number 1s. So this is where I guess it really gets a little bit more testy. We didn't disagree as much as I thought we would.
We did at one point.
Well, we did. We got the whole Savage, Steamboat thing there. But
are we going to do any future things on favorite WrestleMania, or can we just say what's our favorite WrestleMania?
I mean, from now until then, we can do a lot more wrestling shows. So it's all good.
Sky's the limit, man.
Sky's the limit on this one. Yeah. So, all right, number 1.
What's your number 1, big guy?
I was going to pass it.
Oh, you can give the guest.
I was going to pass it to you first.
All right. I mean, guys, like. I was doing this earlier, right? And I was telling my wife at home, you know what I mean? Like, maybe when you think of WrestleMania, what do you think? First thing she said was Hulk Hogan. First thing she said was Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I then, guess what? Here's what I did. And you're more than welcome to do it yourself, okay? Mm-hmm. Google WrestleMania.
Yeah, I'm sure.
What you going to see? Hulk Hogan getting hugged up by Andre the Giant. In WrestleMania 3. Okay, that scene from that video game. You know what I'm saying? WrestleMania 3, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, man. Yeah, there was like, apparently, who knows? Because everybody said it was 93, there was 100. We don't know what's going on with that. But there was a lot of people, okay? There was a lot of people. It was
a Pontiac Silverdome.
Absolutely. And then the storyline between that, you know what I'm saying? Because Andre being unstoppable, you know what I'm saying?
Never been pinned.
And all of a sudden, he wants to fight Hogan, and everybody's like, damn, they're best friend. Like, what is Hogan going to do? And he actually slammed him. Now, granted, I'm probably sure John Cena could do it, but you know what I mean?
Wait a minute. If I remember correctly, didn't they have like a segment where Hogan was talking, Andre came out, and he had Heenan, and he ripped the chain?
He ripped the cross. So how can you do it, brother? How can you do it? That match was, come on, man. Come on. This is brother. Great match, man. Come on. And it was it, man. I mean, come on. That showed you. Now, WrestleMania 1 was big. WrestleMania 3, they show like, 100,000 people. Come on, this is.
That's when you know it was serious.
Come on, man. And then the last image you got is Hogan leaving in that little ring, and the spotlight is on him, man. He's pointing up. Come on, man. That's it. Number 1.
Who was he pointing to?
The big Hulkster in the sky.
The
renegade with
the ultimate Hulkamania.
That's it. So there you go, guys. You can't defeat that, man. Oh boy, we would have hit it.
That put the corn and corned beef hash right there. My God. He was pointing to the biggest Hulkamaniac in the sky. Oh man, please. Excuse us. That was terrible. That was wow. All right, back to reality here. My number 1 match of all time. WrestleMania 20 main event.
Who?
Sucking your teeth. Sucking your teeth. Triple H, HBK, Chris Benoit.
Don't say that name.
Chris Benoit.
Don't say that name. Right?
Hey, look, he still exists. It's all right. It happened, And I'll tell you why I chose this match. All the time for the Chris Benoit never got his due. The entire time he was there, people knew that he was one of the greatest wrestlers, that technical wrestlers of all time. You had Triple H, who was the Ultimate Heel Champion, who throughout, better part of 4 years, just had that belt, around his waist, constantly. Nobody thought going into WrestleMania 20 that Chris Benoit was gonna win that match. Did they? No, because he fell short all these times, right? So why now? Why now we do it? And see, you talk about holding special places in your heart. After Chris Benoit won the Royal Rumble, the next night, Raw was in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And guess who was there? Me. That's right.
Where was I at?
I don't know.
You went by yourself?
I went with Brad. This guy used to work with.
Jasinski.
Brad Jasinski. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, you know what's important about that as well, too, man? The little guys got it.
The little guys got it, right. And that image of Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit at the end, I mean, you might not have realized it when you watched it, but obviously now, with given everything that's happened and everything, both of them passed away, But, it was still one of the best moments, I think, in wrestling history, because those were two guys that were really not didn't fit the WWE mold as far as, you know, being larger than life, and that they were workhorses. They were there every day. They put on the best shows, best matches, period. That was my favorite match, personally, my favorite match of all time.
All right.
So,
WrestleMania, at least.
Yeah. No, but of all time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Of all the times.
Of all the times.
Wow, that's big.
Yeah.
That's big. That's huge.
Big. I could tell you some other ones that are better.
Again.
It's your list.
My opinion. I remember, like, I was literally on the edge of my seat during that match. Like, literally.
So
like,
I was corny, but you could say edge of your seat.
Hey, you said that Hogan put in the big Hulkster.
Were you biting your nails, too?
I was, actually. You know what I'm saying?
It's an edge of my seat. Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Bass. Let's see what you got for me.
To piggyback off what you said, when you Google WrestleMania,
oh, here we go.
Yeah, who do you see?
You know what I'm saying? It's true.
You see the immortal Hulk Hogan. You see Hulk Hogan.
That's it.
And when you Google this generation WrestleMania, or this generation, or the Attitude Era, who do you think?
Randy Orton.
Oh, man.
Notice you didn't even have one Randy Orton match in your list. So bring that guy in there.
Yeah.
Hey, come on. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, all right, man. So look, we all know it's the People's Champion, it's The Rock.
Yeah.
So for me, my number one WrestleMania match was Rock Hogan 18. And let me explain. It wasn't so much the wrestling match itself, even though they put on a match I never thought I'd ever see.
They put on a better match.
They put on a better match than I ever thought in my life I would ever see.
Not the greatest match, but yeah, I'm with you.
The build-up when Hogan and Nash and Hall, they came back with the NWO. They came and confronted The Rock. They ran over The Rock with a truck. The way they built that whole thing up. And then
it's funny to say. No, hold on. It's funny to say because some of the stuff that you say out loud, like when you think about it, it's like it's so stupid.
It is.
Somebody ran him over with a car, and he was able to wrestle him like this.
But he was in another car, and
it's just like remember Stone Cold? He put Triple H on top of the crane and threw him up, threw him over the car. He was there next week. He was fine. There's nothing wrong with him.
Yeah, it sounds a little absurd, but that's just me. I like that. And then the way the crowd told the match, it wasn't it wasn't The Rock and Hogan telling the story. That the crowd dictated that. Right. I mean, the crowd was pro Hogan, and he's NWO.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure on the fly they probably...
It was in the same place that WrestleMania 6 took place, so...
It was in the Sky Dome.
Canada knows their wrestlers.
Yeah.
Right. They know the greatest of all time.
I mean, and you had Jim Ross calling the action. He did it perfectly.
He always does.
Yeah, he did it absolutely perfectly.
Not better than CM Punk, though.
Nah.
CM Punk and the mic, nobody can touch him.
No, they can't. I'm sorry, but he is right. I mean, I've been promo happy my whole life. And it's between him and Ric Flair. I mean,
come on, Ric Flair is number one.
I'll tell you the things that Punk has the nerve to say on TV.
But the things that Ric Flair been saying for years.
Right? And again, the body of work speaks for itself. But I'm just saying,
there's a piece of me
diamonds are forever.
So is Ric Flair. That's the truth. Yeah.
I mean, to me, it felt like Ric Flair was just being himself. When he was out there, he wasn't like really cutting a promo. Like he was really talking that crap.
He needs the virgins bleed.
The feud with Randy Orton told him he was too young.
But that was my number one match. Rock Hogan, two icon versus icon, Kobe versus Jordan, 2001. That was my deal.
Don't say Kobe versus Jordan. No.
Well, yeah, Wizards. Jordan. That's Hogan, and Kobe. That's The Rock. At 25 or whatever.
Yeah, I'll give you that analogy. I thought you was gonna do like ESPN where they be having Jordan from 1988 on March 16th at 5:00 in the morning versus Kobe Bryant. At age 18,
when he dropped 81.
November 23rd, all stupid days and stuff like that.
Very interesting.
No, like I said, I thought we was going to argue a little more than we did, but let's bring this together now for a second. We understand like why we made our own personal list. We didn't discuss them before we made the list and that. So we had a lot of the same matches. I think the only match that we didn't have kind of on each other's list was the Kurt Angle Shawn Michaels match.
And the Benoit one.
And the match that I chose is my number one. You guys didn't have it on your list at all.
Yeah.
And we kind of had... What's that?
The ladder match from...
ladder match for WrestleMania 10. And,
I'm surprised that wasn't on you guys' list, man.
Just because that 2000 took it to next level.
It took it to next year, but you know...
But see, just how he was talking about with what WrestleMania 3 meant and how that kind of started everything, you know, it was kind of like the same thing. That was like, at that time, in the year 2000... those guys were next, and they were, and you know, from then on, the next 10 years, those guys were it, and you know, the majority of them were it in professional wrestling.
I just think that what it catapulted the people on 2000, I think was larger than what it catapulted to me, Shawn Michaels. That's why I feel like
right, because Shawn Michaels was already pretty much made at that point. Even going into
he wasn't. He
was still coming out. It's
right, but he was still. I mean, at that time, some of the secondary titles in that meant more. So he was always like Intercontinental champion, things like that, and that meant a lot more than what it means to be Intercontinental. I couldn't even tell you who the Intercontinental champion is right now.
What is it, Fandango?
Yeah,
way back.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I really didn't know like who the Intercontinental champion was. Like the secondary titles now don't mean anything. I mean, at that point, you still had the secondary title still meant a lot. So. And to have that kind of profile match and the story that led into that was, you know, very interesting. Shawn was suspended, obviously, in real life. That wasn't what was portrayed on TV. He still had a smile at that point. I know that was your... I know that was your favorite, you know, but he still had his smile. But, you know, we were talking about the matches that we didn't have, but... And then The Undertaker, we kind of just had that turned around, right? So you had the year after, I had the year before, but it seems like for the most part we pretty much agreed like the whole way through. So yeah, that's what I said. So maybe I don't know. I thought we were gonna have a completely, you know, I knew some of the matches were gonna match, but then we had 3 or 4 in a row where they were all matched up. We had the same number 10, the same number 2, 3, 4. So yeah, yeah.
I mean, it just goes to show you. I mean, like. Most of these WrestleManias, like, there wasn't a WrestleMania that probably had, like, top-down perfect matches. I mean, there really wasn't.
If it was one that came close, it was probably, was it 18? 18 probably the closest.
18?
19, I'd say. 19 was because seriously, you can't even. I can't other than the Undertaker match at that show.
Yeah,
that match was crap. But other than that, I mean, you had Booker T, Triple H, you had
Triple H had white boots on. That sold it for me. I was sucking for white boots. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Kurt Angle. Yeah, Kurt Angle.
You know what I mean? I said it earlier. A lot of people sleep on
you can also say WrestleMania 2004 too, because that was pretty stacked.
Which one was that one?
And that was the Benoit one.
WrestleMania 2000, 20, WrestleMania 20.
Yeah. You could say that one as well.
You could say
that was pretty stacked.
Because that one, you know, the card on that too was pretty stacked. I mean,
Rock and Flair, they wasn't even in the main event.
What's that?
That match was weak,
20. I know it was weak, but I'm just saying.
When they wrestled Evolution?
Yeah.
Look, you need to stop hating on Randy Orton, okay? And just realize, right?
Randy Orton is like his Cody Rhodes, yo.
No, he treats him worse than that. He treats him like DiBiase, like DiBiase Jr.
DiBiase Jr. is terrible, man.
No, he is terrible.
Orton is horrible too. But anyways, I mean, it is. I agree with you. You know, I thought we were gonna battle more, but you know.
Yeah, that's what I said. I thought that was kind of fun.
Frank Myers thinks alike, man. That's how it is.
Nah, like I said, me and him talked about it yesterday, and we thought, man, we was just gonna argue like the entire time. I said, you know, You all know me, you know, pretty much. You know that I can't stand Hulk Hogan. I cursed the day he was born. But
how you can't stand Babe Ruth?
It's not Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth had a drinking problem. Okay.
And Hogan didn't have his problems.
Yeah, that's why he's in the shape that he's in now. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Nah, I understand like the impact and everything what Hogan means to the first 10, you know, the first 9 WrestleManias, you know, coming up and everything like that, and I appreciate all that, but. Yeah, he's just one of those guys. He just can't get out the way, man. And that's why when we just talked about this earlier. My biggest fear right now is that in 2013 that he's going to be the heavyweight champion.
You know, like, that's how I feel about Triple H.
But see, at least Triple H has the nerve. If you look at Triple H, he can walk. You know what I'm saying? he can walk without help.
But Triple H has no reason. But the thing is, that's
he's not gonna.
Another argument.
But he's not.
It is a whole nother argument, man.
He's not. But he's not going to do.
I have my reasons to hate on Triple H, but
everybody
but the younger group in WWE
just like we talked about at WrestleMania 20. Yeah. I mean, for what? Almost 4 years in a row, the guy was champion. I mean, he may have lost the belt for like a month, then turned right back around. He got it back. Remember, Benoit was the longest stretch that he was without the title for almost like 3 years, 3.5 years. And that was from WrestleMania to SummerSlam.
I think we should say this for another episode, man. We'll be here all night talking about this, man.
Hey, look.
Thanks for having me.
Like I said, you might not be coming back after this one, but
I'll put the petition in for you, man.
Yeah, you put the. You get a Kickstarter going.
Yeah, I get the Kickstarter going for you.
To get it back on the show. So, as always, appreciate anybody that's out there listening, and be back next week. We don't really have a topic for next week, do we?
Yeah, I'm hoping the Heat streak still be
Actually, the game's still going on right now. See if they're winning that one.
Yeah, but I'm sure something pop up. So,
yeah. All right. Well, anything else you want to add?
I don't want to go back on global warming, but it's supposed to be 6 inches of snow tonight.
Yeah.
And it's March 25th, 26th?
Yeah.
Global warming is real, guys. We need to
Actually, I think next week you'll be back next week. We'll do the MLB preview.
That should be fun, man.
And the season and that. So let's really sit down and do that. I'll do my homework in that. It's been a while. I actually saw ESPN had the 100 greatest baseball players of all time. Made me remember when I actually used to love baseball. But
it's some things that's not in the game anymore. Preferably that clear and that cream.
Or that Bole. Or that Bole. Yeah, I'm talking about you, A-Fraud. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back next week then, I guess, with the MLB preview.
All right.
All right. Have a good night, guys.